Turn Academy videos week ending April 18th. Hope you enjoy. Same golfer here, obviously. The one on the left is going to strike the ball, and the one on the right is going to do a practice swing. The big change that takes place when we step up to the ball is that we tend to, instead of thinking about swinging the club correctly, we worry about hitting the golf ball. We're going to play both of them together in slow motion. It's not always easy to spot what happens, but we'll try to figure it out here. Stop. The biggest change we notice, I think, is the impact position of the arms. See how he's really extended both arms, and especially the lead arm, this arm here, is nice and straight, whereas this one is bent. That's a problem called scooping. That's what we do when we slide under the club, slide the club under the ball and hit a high soft shot, mostly to the right. He also has an issue on the right side. You'll see that he didn't get the club face squared up. Take a look, see how open that is. That's because the right hand is still underneath the golf club. We want to get the right hand coming out over the top of the golf club. He can do that with the arms extended. He's going to struggle doing that with the left arm bent and the elbow coming out, flying out. The other thing I want you to notice is what he does in his rehearsal swing is he gets some real momentum forward onto the power side of the swing. Whoops, that's the wrong line. I don't want to do that line. Let's do this line. You can see he's turned behind it, where on this side you can see on this side he's got kind of a bowing going on. A nice straight side. He's going to move his lower body into the red line, the one on the right side, screen right. See how the lower body's moving in and the head is staying back? This one just sort of stays there and actually moves the other direction. Can you notice that? Instead of moving into power, he's moving away from the power. Notice where he is here. Look at the two positions. You can see how he's moved his lower body in under the swing. That's one of the big progresses that he made in this swing. He's got a couple things to work on. He's still got to get the club rotating closed. But you can just see there's a difference in the two swings. That's a change he made over about 20 minutes. It's pretty spectacular. Very proud of him. Good job. One of the things you see with a lot of amateur golfers is they have a tough time transferring their weight from the trail side to the lead side, in this case from the right side to the left side. We know they can do that because they walk, and when you walk, you're transferring your weight from one side to the other. Let's just move this forward a little bit. Let's see if we can figure out when he misses moving. Now what we're seeing here is it's not really a turn, it's more of a dip. A turn would be turning around the spine. The spine is directly under his chin but behind him. So if he turns, the spine should be moving onto the red line. Instead he's moving off the red line. That's one of the reasons why the left heel comes off the ground so much. He's transferring his weight. Now he does plant that heel down pretty solid. Not bad, but you can see it's not getting any forward momentum with his body. He's staying back because he didn't really get turned. And he's actually moving further and further away. So he doesn't get any width in his follow through to speak of and no power. The shoulders are opening much more than the hips. I would like to see him really working hard on getting this position here with his legs. See how this leg is tilted this way? I want this leg, the trail leg, to be tilted that same way when he comes through. But he doesn't do that. We know he can because he does it with the other one, and it stays kind of back. Now if you watch closely, I want to clear these, I'll clear the lines out of the way. Watch the right heel spin around behind him, and all the weight is on that back foot. We know that because we can see how much the toe is bent. See that? That means there's weight on it. That should just be barely touching. You should be able to just tap your toe on the ground. when you're done swinging. So we're going to get him to move into that power line, which we drew up earlier, which would be right about that power line to be right about here. He'd be on that. His right knee, right hip, right shoulder, right ear would be up on that red line instead of falling back like you did there. Okay, here we are with a rehearsal swing on the left, an impact swing on the right. Let's watch it in slow motion, and again we'll see the difference. Why do we tend to swing differently when it's a rehearsal or practice swing, as you call it? Back swings look fairly similar. It's the forward swing that changes, especially the width of the swing. Look at that width there compared to here. We've got a big gap on this side. If you look, see a big gap, tiny gap. That's what we're looking for, extending the arms down the line. We do that by stretching and thrusting our right hand. The other thing you're going to notice, I'm going to clear all these out of the way, is that on the left side, if I draw a big circle around the hands, you can see the glove fingers. You don't get to see the glove fingers on the right side ever. So one of them is going to have more acceleration, more energy, better release, and easier on the body, even though they look very similar. So the rotation of the hands there is very important, and the width of the hands. Because the right hand is underneath the club on the right side and his left hand is on top, that's why he cannot extend down the line. His elbow's pulled back inside, he's got no width in the swing, and that's what we're going to work on. He can do this because if you can do it with the practice, you can do it with the ball there. This golfer is working on a single plane setup, trying to emulate a little Mo Norman style swing. And we'll play it in slow motion first. What's the takeaway? Not bad. Nice and low and slow. A little lifting going on. Looking good to about here. Not bad. Maybe a little too far to the inside. And then back through. And boom, off to the right it goes. And he's frustrated. He can't figure out why it's always going to the right. Well, let's way back it up here. And that's way to the right. You see that, right? So let's see why it is. Take a look there. You can see now that the club is wide open. In other words, it's pointing way to the right. And then he's going to swing that way. He needs to swing down the line. You swing across it, you're going to catch it out on the toe, and you're going to leave the face open, leading with the hosel. We'll clear everything out of the way. We're going to watch this as slow as I can move it. Now it goes into the shade. You can see right there how the club is suddenly going to the left. He's catching the ball out on the toe. You can see how much, you can see the tee. See that? Can you see it? How it's hitting right out on the toe. Then it's up in the air. Point, just like on TV. So if we can get him to swing down the line, or in this case, maybe even feel like he's going to swing a little bit out to right field. The hardest thing about golf is understanding how the opposites work. If you're swinging too much to the left, the ball's going to go to the right. If you want to hit it straighter, swing a little bit more to the right, swing on the line I drew in there, and you'll hit it straighter. The rest of the mechanics are pretty good. He's low on power. Again, that's because he's scrubbing across it, a glancing blowout on the toe. It will not go very far if you don't hit it solid. Just like trying to hammer a nail by cutting across the head of the nail. You're going to bend it. And what he's done here is he's bent the shot. Al here has made so much progress by focusing on a couple of very small aspects of the swing. Not the mechanical aspects. Balance, rhythm, and tempo. The intrinsic part, the art part of the swing. He wants to stay on his feet. He doesn't want to come up on his toes. He doesn't want to lose his balance. And he doesn't want to rush the shot and get out of sequence. Now, I'm not saying he does it perfect every time, but you're going to see a lot of really good swings from this guy. And the ball's going to go on his target line. You get set, breeze. Now you're going to see, in slow motion, pretty smooth swing. and a ball that goes right where he wanted it to go. He's actually getting to the point now where at 100 yards or 120 yards or so, he's upset if the ball's more than 5 to 10 feet away from the flag that he's aiming at. That's good golf when you can do that. And I think he's focused on the thing that most of us fail to focus on, and that is those things that are the art part of the swing: rhythm, motion, balance, and tempo. DB is working on a short mini pitch or a chip up in the air. What we've created is a half swing that basically just goes waist high to waist high with very little to no club rotation and very little to no wrist hinge. It's a very controlled swing. It controls the direction very well, and it controls the distance. Let's go ahead and play it in slow motion. See how the club is staying kind of on the target line and on the target line. Dead straight, good loft, kind of shot that she wants to have. When she messes up with that shot, it's because she's moving too much, moving her hands instead of just letting the rotation of her body move the club. Way to go, Deep. I think this is the golfer's first day of swinging a club and hitting a ball. She's got some good athletics fundamentals, and her setup was really good. We worked a little bit on the grip, but mainly we just told her to get into an athletic position. You see she's got a nice straight tilt to the lead side there. This is her club shaft. It's on a plane right there. Let's watch the swing now. We'll just move it manually here. She's going to take the club back, right on plane. Shoulders could turn a little bit more, but again, you're talking about somebody that's just now starting, bringing the club back down to the plane, almost exactly where she was when she started. The head hasn't moved much. We're going to make impact. Ball's going up in the air nicely. Follows through down the line. See how she's following the ball down the line? That is so hard for most of us to do. We tend to swing around us more than down the line. Very classic swing, very good. And for a beginner, what you really want to do is just learn how to swing a club that makes contact with a golf ball, and go find the ball and hit it again. Have fun. A lot of research shows that the ideal arm to shaft angle for a conventional golfer is 144 degrees. He's 8 degrees off that. It's really pretty good. The only thing that would be different is he would let his hands hang down a little more straight down from his shoulder, so they're hanging there. But you know, as long as you repeat the same setup every time, you're probably going to play good enough golf for an amateur to have a lot of fun. Let's watch this swing now. We'll move it in slow motion. See what he's doing. What we can see right there is he's lifting up. See, his whole body is lifting up and out of the swing. And he's doing that because his shoulders are turning level. And by that I mean, instead of turning parallel to the golf shaft plane, you can see they're level, straight across. We don't want that. We want to turn on the same plane as our golf shaft sets on, so we can return back without coming way out over the top. At about right here, we'd like to see the golf shaft parallel to the trail arm, not the lead arm. The reason he can't do that is because the elbow's flying out away from him. So he's going to come over the top. He's going to catch this with thin, but you can see, you're looking at the ground in front of him. He's a chopper. He's coming down from the outside, thumping and digging. He manages to square the club up and all that pretty well, but he doesn't get the power he'd like to get. He was thinking, maybe the 7-iron should be 150, and he's hitting it about 125. I think that's because he's coming across the ball too much and not able to make good contact as good as he could. It's a glancing blow. It'll also spin a little bit to the right. He's getting great rotation, and his hands right now are in a pretty good position. He did okay, but I'd like to have him work on turning the shoulders on the plane that's parallel to the golf shaft, and that would help him a lot. This is a setup we see a lot with amateur golfers. That right hand is so far underneath the golf club that it makes it virtually impossible to rotate the club back to a square position. Let's move it. We'll just watch the hands here. So you can see how under the club it is. Thumb's right on top of the shaft, putting a lot of pressure down. So he's going to come back through, and the right hand is going to stay underneath that golf club. It's going to get stuck under there. See it way underneath. Still under. Let's watch where the ball goes. Low, low, low. No pop. Because he's not able to let the club release. See, it's still under. The release would mean that the right hand is passing over the top of the left hand. It doesn't here, and it's pulling his arms way in, jamming himself up, and he gets a weak squibber shot. It's going to roll a ways, but that's not what he wants to do. So we're going to really work on getting that hand more in the shake hands position at setup, so that he's in a spot where he can actually swing the club and utilize the hands in a unified motion. That'll make a big difference to him. The rest of his mechanics are pretty good. Sometimes you can't get there if you don't start from the right spot, and he needs to get a better starting spot. One of the keys you look for in the down the line shot is the left arm must be higher than the right arm, and you can see it's not. As a matter of fact, as she starts back, you'll see the left hand bowing, and actually see it's turning back inside. Now, her elbow on the right side is flaring way out, separating from her other elbow, so there's no longer in a nice triangle, and it puts the force in the wrong direction. She pulls down pretty good, but look, because she's moved out of the position, she's not going to hit that ball. Well, she hits it, but certainly not how you'd want to hit it. And she's hitting it on the hosel, on the bottom of the club. Let's see if we can find out what causes that. Well, if we just look, I'm not going to say she lifts her head, because I believe that's the worst advice any golfer ever gives another golfer. Quit lifting your head. Well, you're not. You're actually moving your entire lower body under you, and you're moving it in a direction that's going to cause an increase in your spine tilt, a vertical increase. So let's see if we can see that happen here. Looks pretty good to there. She's maintained her posture. Now it's coming in. Look how far back the head. It's not lifting, is it? It's actually pulling away. Well, since the head and the shoulders are attached to the same spine, if you're pulling away, and you can see quite a bit now, so her butt is moved up under her, and she's not going to be able to get to the ball because she's so much higher off the ground than she was before. So let's just, for the heck of it, let's draw in the red swing line. Let's go back to the setup position. See the difference? That's how much you move. Now the head moving moves the back, moves the hands. Nobody says you lift your hands, but she really did lift her hands. See? The hands are higher and further away. That's because the butt moved. Okay? So we want to keep our butt behind us and in position. My grandpa said, in life and in golf, butt out. When I work with beginners, I recognize the most important thing for a beginner is to be able to hit the ball in the air and watch the flight and enjoy it. She's going to do some things that I really strive to get my beginner golfers to work on, and that is swinging the club back and forth on the same line or very close to it. You can see we've drawn in her spine tilt on one line and the golf shaft on the other line. And we'll just watch. She's taking the club back pretty much on the shaft line and stops on the shaft line. Starts back down, she's on the shaft line or close enough to it, comes right back into position, right back to the shaft line. Her spine is still where it was. She's facing the ball at impact. Now, as she progresses, she's going to want to have more power and do things like that, but she's very strong and very athletic anyway. So right there you'll see, look at a dead straight shot. And the other thing I like is, notice the club is following the ball down the target line. So many people whip that club in around behind them too early. Look at her trail elbow down, parallel to the spine. The spine tilt and the elbow line are parallel to each other. This line. That's good. The shoulders are still down. She's still got her forward tilt going on. Everything's really well done here. Very proud of her. And she's hitting the ball a ton. And she's having fun doing it. I think one of the keys to golf is to keep everything level. Whatever level it was on at setup is where you want it to maintain that. You're going to watch his right knee, lead knee in this case, drop down below the green line on the way back. See, it's dropping way down. So what that's doing now is actually tilting him forward towards the target. What we want him to do is turn behind the power line, behind that line. And he can't do that because he's collapsing. He can't turn around behind the line. Then he's going to come forward and he gets stuck. And he's stuck for two reasons. One is he never was able to drive forward into the shot. And the other reason is because his lead elbow is bent and pointing skyward. You cannot rotate your lead arm when that elbow is bent and pointed skyward. We rotate the arm and the hand from the shoulder. The wrists don't rotate. We don't really turn our hands. If you just put your hand out in front of you and rotate it, you'll see that it's rotating all the way to the shoulder. Now, good finish. So all we're going to work on with him is getting that elbow to stay in place so it's not scooping the ball. So the club is going to be able to rotate around close. You see, we still don't get to see his, we see his fingers of his gloved hand, but we don't get to see him under. And if you look at the opposite side, that's what we want the follow-through side to look like. The palm of one hand, the back of the other one, and we get to here. I want to see the palm of one hand and the back of the other one. We don't get to see either of those, do we? The swing, there now we get to. So he gets there late. But not bad that he got there at least somewhat. Keep working on that. You get it. See you next week. Go play golf.